What's good, guys? Welcome back to Small Talk and Head-to-Head Fantasy Basketball. And today I'm being joined with my homie. What's good, Anson?
What's up, guys? Today we'll be reacting to your trades in our Discord community. So if you guys haven't joined our Discord, go ahead and join. We have a community of over 100 people. They just come in, ask questions regarding their trades. So if you guys have questions regarding trades in your own league, you can drop it. We have a team that discuss which side we would take. You can go ahead and join in the discussion if you like. So go ahead and join up. But today we'll be reacting to trades so that you can kind of get an idea of how players are currently being valued.
All right, let's get started on our first trade. We got Sengun and Triple J for Damian Lillard. Okay. I mean, I think Dame, as of right now, is a buy low, but how much can Dame really average is kind of up in the air. I think Dame, you know, in my opinion, could average around like 47, 46 fantasy points, 47, 40, maybe 48 fantasy points a game. He's playing with Giannis right now. Sengun is averaging around what, 45, and Triple J is obviously, we understand, no jaw. Triple J is kind of caca, but I feel like Desmond Bain being out 6 weeks, Marcus Smart being out 6 weeks, I think Triple J is in line for some very, very heavy usage. So in my opinion, for this trade, very simple. I think I'll just keep Sengun and Triple J.
Yeah, I think Damian Lillard is the best player in this trade proposal. However, I don't think Sengun is that far off. And especially if you're playing 12 man, there just isn't anything close to Jaren Jackson Jr. to make up the difference from Sengun to Dame. You also have to consider that you're giving up two pretty value positions, two power forward slash center positions for a point guard. So kind of figure that out. It really depends on who's available in your free agency and if you need a how desperate you are to get a streaming spot. But Damian Lillard, I just don't think it's worth it. Mainly because yes, I understand he is a buy low. However, his slight decrease in production has been correlative to Chris Middleton getting more minutes. So you kind of have to think about, okay, yes, Dame could be better, but he is his reduction in numbers also being impacted because he's sharing volume with Chris Middleton and Jaren Jackson Jr. Like Alan said, he's in line to have a really big spike in production just because Memphis is missing so many players.
Yeah, so pretty simple. For this trade, Sengun's side is wins heavy. So let's move on to the next one. So by the way, these are trades that we've seen and we responded to in our Discord, like Anson said already. But yeah, let's keep going through some of these trades. We got Sengun and VanVleet, okay, for Simons, Lively, and Maxi. So I'm assuming most of these trades are for 12 man. I'm just assuming. So Sengun, VanVleet for Simons and Maxi. I mean, I'm gonna just say Maxi is kind of uh where Sengun is. He maybe a little slightly better, slightly worse. I think Maxi is where Sengun is, so let's cancel them out. And then we have Simons, Lively, and for Van Vliet. I think Van Vliet for this side, I think he's still gonna be um better, in my opinion. Just because, yeah, Simons is probably going to be the number one option on Portland. And Portland has been dealing with some injuries, but I feel like we still kind of wanted to wait and see what he can do when the whole team's back. Lively, I think he's still injured right now, but or he's healthy now, I guess. And Lively is in store for some minutes, and I think Lively is going to be not a bad pick. So it depends on what you need on your team. I think this trade is relatively fair, but I'm still leaning towards Sengun Van Vliet's side, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely lean towards the Sengun and Van Vliet side, mainly just because I don't really like having players that are fringe rosterable, and Lively is in that category where there's definitely some potential in him, and he could definitely be a rosterable player for the rest of the season. However, there's is some risk still. He's just barely rosterable, where it's kind of frustrating. Should I drop him or should I cycle him, especially in close matchups? And then you just kind of value the better players. So Sengun and Maxi is slightly better than Sengun. Even though I feel like Sengun, if you just look at his game log, he hasn't got a block in 6 games besides today's game, right? Besides that, the last six besides today's game on the 15th, the last 6 games, he hasn't even got a block. He's not a guy that gets a lot of block anyways, but he does average almost 1 block a game. That's 4 fantasy points per game. So there's definitely room for improvement there. And then Van Vliet, I think he's just really reliable. He plays a lot of games, even though he's older. He plays a lot of games. There isn't really a chance for Sengun and Van Vliet to rest for the rest of the season because the Rockets are very competitive. So I think they're going to be trying to fight for that play-in spot for the first time. They're just outside of the play-in spot. So I don't think they're going to rest their players towards fantasy playoffs. Whereas Anthony Simons, Portland is tanking. Anthony is someone that, even though he's young, he's dealing with a lot of injuries. And Portland as a whole, it's just been kind of confusing. Simon's number has been up and down because Shaden Sharp is in and out of rotation. Jeremy Grant's in and out of rotation. So Simons, we've seen some 40-minute games, but how are they going to prioritize the minutes? There's just so much going on right now. And the trade deadline's approaching. So there's just some uncertainty with Portland's roster.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said there. Lively being a fringe roster bowl, also you got to take that consideration. Yeah, so for this one, very simple. Sengun Van Vliet side wins easily. Not a bad trade, but I think Sengun Van Vliet way better. Let's move on to the next one. We have De'Aaron Fox for Aaron Gordon and Derek White. Um, in my opinion, I know De'Aaron Fox has been kind of slowing down recently, but I feel like this is just a bad stretch because we know what he could do when he's playing well. Aaron Gordon, he's healthy now. I know he says he's injured, but he's healthy. He's day to day today actually. But Derek White and Aaron Gordon for De'Aaron Fox is, I wouldn't say horrible trade, but still a bad trade. I think you just keep Fox and find somebody else that's recyclable because I think Fox plus one from a free agency will probably do a lot better than Aaron Gordon and Derek White. Suggesting that Boston is really loaded with a lot of players, and Aaron Gordon, he's not a bad player. He's definitely a must roster on 12 man, but I think Aaron Gordon is like a top 80 player, top 80, top 90 player. Um, but for Darren Fox, he's like top 15, top 20. When he's playing well. So as of right now, I think De'Aaron Fox, just keep De'Aaron Fox, grab somebody else from the free agency. I think that'd be a lot better than Aaron Gordon and Derek White, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely favored the Fox side. Fox is averaging 46, and that's with his recent struggles. Before that, Fox was averaging well over 50. Do I think he will average well over 50 for the rest of the year? No, but I think it'll be somewhere in between 49, 49, 48. Aaron Gordon's currently averaging 30. Derek White's numbers has been really good, but they've starting to take a dip. He's starting to look more like, not to insult Derek White, but he had a really strong start to the season. Now he's starting to look more like what we expected from him, especially being in a loaded roster. Derek White's average has gone down to 37 from above 40. And I expected to go down a little bit more. So you're expecting maybe 34, 35 from Derek White. If Aaron Gordon keeps his 30, that's 65 between both of them. Fox, he's averaging 46, and that's with his recent slump. So even if he averages 46, right? You got 60, you got 67 and 46. You just need someone from the free agency to give you 21 fantasy points, which is very doable. So on top of that, if you take Fox, that's the 1 for 2. You also have more flexibility when it comes to cycling or when it comes to just picking up players if you have players that are out.
Yeah, so definitely for this, Fox side is definitely winning. And just remember what we just said right now, what Anson just said. You do have an extra spot to cycle as well. So if you do need to stream, you don't have to. You can always just stream the next player. So let's say the player does give you 20, 25. You can have another player over tomorrow. Meanwhile, Aaron Gordon, Derek White are gonna play one day. not play tomorrow unless they have back-to-backs, and then you're kind of stuck with that. So you can't really stream with these two players because they're both must rosters. Let's move on from this trade. Let's see our next trade. We have Jaren Jackson Jr. again and Keldon for PG. Interesting. This is actually not a bad trade. I'm assuming, like I said, everything is a 12-man team. This is not a bad trade. I think PG is doing really well right now. PG still does have somewhat injury concerns so far, knock on wood. This year he's been pretty healthy. Triple J, I feel like he's gonna be having a lot of usage, the next 6 weeks. So I think Triple J should be definitely a hold. I think Jaren Jackson can probably produce around what PG can do, just as of right now when he gets the boost. PG averages what, like 41, 42. Triple J averaging around like 37, 38 right now, but I think he'll easily average like 43, 44. So Triple J for PG straight up, I think like you can just cancel them out and you're basically getting Keldon Johnson for free. And Keldon Johnson is definitely a must roster. He's still developing, and I don't think he's gonna, lose his position or lose minutes anytime soon. I think last year without Victor, Keldon was number one option. So I think as of right now, he's still learning how to play with Victor and his teammates. So in my opinion, I think the Triple J and Keldon side is definitely winning on this one. It's not a bad trade, like I said, but I think Jaren Jackson, because of all the injuries in Memphis, gives him a big boost. So I think he's equal or better than PG as of like right now. But after everyone comes back, he'll obviously come back down to earth. But you still have Keldon Johnson too. So I think these two for PG is not a bad trade, and I would definitely take the Jaren Jackson side though.
Yeah, I normally don't like to side with the two when it comes to 2 for 1, but the free agency market right now, there isn't too much you can really pick from. And you're really looking at players that could produce maybe 26 fantasy points. Keldon is at 32. So you're looking at a 6 fantasy point difference that you want from the Jaren Jackson Paul George swap. Jaren Jackson averaging 37, 38. With all these guys in Memphis out, like you said, you're really expecting 42 from Jaren, and Paul George, he's right there with 42. So it really depends on how your roster looks. If you really need a cycling spot, a streaming spot, or you just have too many players that are hurt and you just need more room in your roster, then I could definitely see you considering the Paul George. But just straight up, just looking at which side has more value, definitely prefer the Jaren Jackson and Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, I think that's very, very straightforward. Yeah, Triple J and Keldon Johnson, I'm definitely taking this side. And like I said, if you guys have anything you guys want to talk about or any trades that in your league that you're kind of uncertain about, like, oh, this is a good trade, let me get some other opinions. Join the Discord, send it into the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions and let you guys know our opinions. All right, let's move on. We have Dame and OG for Sengun and Macau. This is a really, really good trade. I like this trade. We already talked about it. I think Dame and Sengun, you can kind of cancel them out. Obviously, Dame is a little better. So, but I think you can cancel them out as of right now, since Dame does have goes on streaks where he's shooting horribly. OG is in a bigger role right now. I think OG is definitely not bad. But Mikal Bridges is, in my opinion, I know a lot of people don't like Mikal Bridges right now, but in my opinion, I think Mikal Bridges is a buy low still. I still think he can easily average like 40 fantasy points, 41 fantasy points. So, in my opinion, Sengun maybe averages 1 or 2 fantasy points less than Dame, but Macau can average, 41, 42, in my opinion, or 40, just 40, 41 versus OG. I think OG is probably gonna average like 32, 32, 33, maybe 34 if he gets really, really if he gets more minutes and he plays better. But yeah, as of right now, I think Sengun and Mikal Bridges is the side I'll be leaning towards, just because, like I said, Sengun has already proven that he can consistently average 45, 46 fantasy points. Dame is a buy low, but Mikal Bridges is also a buy low. I think Mikal Bridges 40, 41 should be easily doable for him. OG for Mikal, yeah, you can just kind of say Mikal over OG for sure. So if it's very close between Sengun and Dame, you look at the second player, Mikal is better than OG. So I'll definitely lean towards Sengun and Mikal for this trade here.
Yeah, a lot of people have been in our Discord asking us where do we value Mikal Bridges? Where do we see how much do we realistically predict that he will average? for the future. I think, like Alan said, I think anywhere from 37 to 41 is realistic for Mikel. He's obviously not this bad. He's starting to pick up a lot of minutes. These last 3 games, he's been playing a lot better. Been way more involved in the offense, way more involved on the defensive side, getting more steals, getting more blocks. Um, Definitely. I don't think they're focusing the offense towards Cam Thomas as much as they did in the beginning of the season. Yes, Cam is still getting his touches, but it seems like they're kind of letting Mikel kind of be the lead scorer now as the first option. So definitely see Mikel being a 40-point fantasy scorer. I know the last 7 days, last 15 days, he's been averaging 25. We know that's not Mikel Bridges. And then as far as OG Anunoby goes, he's in a new position. He is playing a lot of minutes. He's playing over 40 minutes a game in New York. However, he's just not a big enough part of the offense for him to be swapped with Mikel Bridges, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I like OG, but as of right now, Mikal Bridges is obviously better. Sengun, Dame, like I said already, Dame is a little better. So if you just look at that, just straight up Sengun, Mikal Bridges side is a lot stronger. But let's see, do we have another trade analysis? Yeah, we do. Okay, so I think this is the last one we have. This is Isaiah Hartenstein, Cat, and Scotty Barnes for Triple J, Jeremy Grant, KD. Okay. So as of right now, I'm just gonna take a quick look. What I like to do first is look at the players. Isaiah Hartenstein's been doing really, really good. He can average easily 35, 36 fantasy points a game. Since Mitchell Robinson is out for the season, but the Knicks did say that Mitchell Robinson can come back near the end of the season. So I don't know how that's gonna affect your playoffs, like when he's gonna come back. But they did say that Mitchell Robinson is not technically out of the season. He can come back and he probably will come back. So you can keep that in mind for Isaiah. For Cat, we did have him as a buy low candidate, and Cat has been kind of doing a lot better. So I think Cat averages around 43, 44. That's where Cat should be around. And we have Scotty Barnes, he was averaging like 50. Right now he's averaging like 34, 35. But I think that's just like a slow like a little slow week for him, or slow 2 weeks. I think Scotty Barnes is definitely gonna get back into shape of where he was before. So I think he'll average around 45, 46, right? Since they did get quickly and Barrett. So just taking a look at that, just keep in mind those numbers. We look at Triple J, like I said already, 42, 43 for the next 6 weeks. Jeremy Grant, I think he'll average like 32, 30, like 32, 33. And then KD obviously averaging like 50 right now. So in my opinion, I do like the KD side better. Triple J and Cat are very similar. And like I said, for the next 6 weeks, Triple J is gonna have that big boost. Cat still has injury concerns. KD, is better than Scotty and Isaiah. In my opinion, Scotty and Isaiah, you can just put those two together. It'll probably be like for a KD trade, but you do have to understand KD is injury prone too. So it depends on what your team has and what you're looking for on your team. But for this one, I do like the KD side, even though like the Isaiah, Cat, and Barnes are very tempting. I do like that you have one like a top 10, top 15 player on Kevin Durant. Um, and then you do have like a top 30, top 40 player. Let me say top 40 for Triple J. Over Scotty Barnes and Cat. So in my opinion, I'm gonna lean towards the Kevin Durant side just because of KD. But yeah, like I said, it is if you do take the Kevin Durant side, you do have to accept the risk of okay, he's gonna probably get injured. You have to deal with injuries. So if your team is already injury prone, like let's say you have LaMelo or some other players that are very injury prone, maybe not get the KD side. I think you should just stick maybe with the Barnes side, play it safe. Because if KD's out, and let's say you have one or two other players that are out, and you have one IR, you can't really compete against someone that has a full roster. They only have one person out. So it just like I said, depends on what your team has. And like, yeah, obviously some of you guys are like, yo, take the KD no brainer. But like I said, it depends on your team. What if you want to take KD, but your team it has injury issues? Then I don't think it would be a great idea to take KD. I think it would be better just stick with Cat and Carl Anthony Towns and Isaiah. So in my opinion, like I said, this is a very, very fair trade. But I'll lean towards the KD side for me.
Yeah, I'm actually favoring the Scotty Barnes side a little bit more. I think this trade is super close, and I was kind of going back and forth as you were talking, but I do think Scotty Barnes is he's a major buy low, and I think he's valued pretty similarly to KD, and I would give KD the slight nod above Scotty Barnes, and I actually think KD so far, I mean, he's basically proven it. His average is higher than Scotty Barnes, but the thing that has been kind of worrying me about KD, besides the injuries, is that his numbers have been taking a dip since Bradley Beal has returned. So Kevin Durant's averaged 50, right? He's came back. He's played 5 games with Bradley Beal recently coming back, being healthy, and kind of their big three all healthy and playing together. Kevin Durant's number has dropped. He's only averaged, I mean, he's only had a 150-point fantasy point game. And then we're seeing low 40s, even high 30s from KD. I don't think he's going to average 40, but they're going to have to share the ball, and KD's numbers taking a dip isn't really a good sign. I think Scotty Barnes can keep around a 47 average. I think in the beginning of the season, 54, 55 was kind of a stretch for Scotty Barnes, but I think 47 is pretty maintainable. I do prefer Jaren Jackson over Cat. I don't think it's too big of a difference. They've both been wildly inconsistent. Both of them have just been a headache to roster. And then Isaiah Hartenstein, I actually do slightly favor over Jeremy Grant just because he has the starting center spot. He's been playing really well. Um, has has multiple ways of getting fantasy points, so he's very consistent. He doesn't rely on just scoring or just rebounding. He's also able to get defensive stats. Whereas Jeremy Grant is also he just hasn't been very consistent. He's been injured, and like I mentioned before about Portland's rosters, that they just have so many um players that they're trying to share minutes with. It's kind of hard for Jeremy Grant to really have those like Detroit days when we saw him putting up 40 fantasy points per game. He's just not featured as much. They're starting to really emphasize Scoot Henderson's development. They're trying to bring in Shaden Sharp. I don't think Jeremy Grant's really a big prioritization for Portland. On top of that, he's averaging the numbers that he's averaging right now. And I think that they could slightly decrease when DeAndre Ayton comes back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Yeah, so it is a very, very close trade. You guys heard from Anson's side already. He favored the Scotty Barnes cat side and Isaiah Hartenstein. I personally favored the KD side just because, like I said, KD is a top 15, top 20 player for sure. And so it's just a toss up. Like I said, it really depends on your team, right? So if your team is lacking something or needs something, you can decide on that. But yeah, if you guys have any trades that you guys are looking at or currently being offered and you're not sure, like which side is winning, put it in the Discord. We'll either respond to it or maybe even make a video out of it. But yeah, I think that should wrap up the video. Let me check. Yeah, that should be it. Is there anything else you want to add for them, Anson?
Yeah, make sure you guys, if you guys haven't already, go join our Discord. We have a community. We love talking about just any fantasy opinions. Even if Alan and I aren't able to answer your questions, we have people that are in there that can help answer your questions. And anyone can answer anybody's questions. So people just you get all type of opinions. It's a pretty friendly community. Go ahead and join.
Yep, sounds like a plan. Yeah, we'll see you guys on our next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And Anson are human. If you guys don't agree with our opinions, just let us know, respectfully in the comments why, like, hey, I think this guy's better or I think this side is better. Let us know in the comments below. We'll be more than happy to have a little conversation with you to see your opinions and your thoughts. Yeah, we appreciate you guys for, joining in and tuning in and watching our videos. And we'll see you guys on our next video. Peace. Take care.
Peace.